You are the void. When you close your eyes and it's dark, that's you. That's you. When you close your eyes and you slow down the breath, you slow it down, but you don't have to do it deliberately, although you can. You can simply observe the breath. You could do it deliberately, slow down your breathing. That works just as well. But if you want the path of least resistance, just observe your breath, and it will. You have to do this with your eyes closed. It will slow down. Why will it slow down on its own? As you will see if you start to do this. Because when you close your eyes, you're in your own presence. That's you. And as a result, the breath can't help but start to slow down because you are still. See, if you can get yourself to be in a breathless state, which is something master yogis and people who have much practice with breath work, they can be in a breathless state for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. And that's when you can experience yourself as you are to your full capacity. See, the in and out, the inhaling, the inhalation and the exhaling, that's the yin and the yang, that's the duality, that's the dance of life. And in between the inhale and in between the exhale is the oneness, the stillness, the eternal, peaceful, calm, quiet, intelligent awareness, compassionate awareness also, loving and benevolent. And so, when you open your eyes after having done that for a considerable amount of time, what you are left with is a reflection of yourself in the form of light. Okay? You try this right now. You close your eyes and it's darkness. You open your eyes and the only reason you could perceive of anything and see green colors, we call it green, it's just a color, but nevertheless it's a color, and other things and other beings and things that are perceived to be other than yourself, but really they are yourself. They are projections, reflections of yourself in the form of light. So light is the realm of creation. Darkness is the creator of the creation, but it can only create through light. Therefore, it is both dark and light. Because if it does not create something through light, it can't be aware of itself because it's pure awareness. And that makes it both darkness and light. That makes it both the void, the dark, empty void, and the illuminous light at the same time. Because had it not been for the light, which is it's all manifestations. These trees are manifestations of consciousness. Human beings, flowers, grass, earth, planets, sunlight. It's all reflection of consciousness. It is consciousness. And through that, you could close your eyes and your breathing will begin to, if you observe it, will begin to slow and slow and slow. And if you do it long enough, you come to the breathless state. And now you know who you are because you have the contrast. But before, what is it? Let there be light. And there was light. You see? So if there was no light, you wouldn't even know who you are because you're just pure awareness, but there's nothing to be aware of. So that makes everything in creation sacred. It is consciousness. And so beauty, light is one name you could describe consciousness, the light, the white light. The Tibetans, in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they describe the nature of mind as luminosity, white light. And then there's beauty. Have you ever asked yourself, why is everything so beautiful? Well, everything's so beautiful because, again, everything's so beautiful in its raw form. You see? It's beautiful. And that shows you that consciousness is beautiful. That this awareness, this pure awareness really is a beautiful sentient being. It is a sentient being. It's intelligent. And yeah, so if you're really serious about self-inquiry, self-remembrance, you have to do some type of breath work / meditation. That's what meditation is. Meditation, if you really break it down and really get to the root of it, it's breath work. It's you're practicing breath work, and there are many different forms. Humming, for example, is a form of breath work because humming slows down your breath also. If you sit down and hum also, notice that your breathing begins to slow down, and each hum begins to become longer than the one before and then eventually you could, because your breathing slows down so much that you could hum, you could just keep going and you could go on and on because again your heart rate's slowing down. You're getting closer and closer to the source, closer and closer to your true self. Okay? And there are so many different types of meditation, but really it boils down to breath work, and that's the original way in which Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha of this time, got enlightened. It's through Vipassana, right? Through silent and total focus on just breath, observing the breath. And what happens when that happens, when your breathing begins to slow down, is that you begin to access information you already know. You're the creator of everything. So you begin to access this information. How do you think I am accessing right now I'm in the presence of truth. You are in the presence of truth right now. But how do you think I'm accessing this? How do you think it's flowing so effortlessly? Well, it's because that's exactly what I did before making this video. Is I just observed my breath and I went into a timeless state, and something happens where you start to hear a deep voice, and it just sort of spontaneously springs up like a flower, like all these flowers just spontaneously spring up. It's not like you're sitting there like thinking or something. You're there observing your breath, and slows down and slows down, and bang, you get an install, a download, because you're getting closer and closer to source. You see? So you get a download of something or other. I got a few today, because I sort of extended it more than usual. And so you could see why, practicing this and eventually being able to sustain your focus on your breath for 10, 12 hours, you could see that you could become you essentially, you become just you become God. You become God, so you know it all. So you hear of stories of self-realized beings such as Ramana Maharshi, and people from all over India used to go to Ramana Maharshi, who's an enlightened being. He's God. He's done. His karma's finished. And they would ask him these questions from, like, they'll pull a verse from the Bible. They'll pull a verse from some ancient philosopher. Some things that, Ramana Maharshi in his form, as an Indian man, has never even heard of, has never even read. And he would, he just close his eyes and he would tell them the exact verse. And he's never read anything in any of these questions, because he's able to access his God. He's got permanently enlightened. You could have an enlightening moment experience in meditation or through psychedelics, but you come out of it. You're not fully done with the trip. And your desires are still there. You're not fully in the desireless state. But then, you get the self-realized beings who are just permanently enlightened. And then, they could be anywhere in anything, really. And they could be in multiple places at the same time. Their awareness is not limited to one physical body. It's not limited to anything, in fact. They are everywhere, because they're beyond time and they're beyond space. And so all these stories you hear about, yogis flying and teleporting and all that, that's kind of what starts to happen once you get to those levels. And it just happens, by the way. It just happens. One day they start to fly. One day they just teleport. They're like, whoa, because at that point, it's not even your will. Your will is so in alignment with the Tao, with the universe, that all these cities, all these miracles that start to pour out of you, they happen because they need to happen. It's the will of the Tao. It isn't because somebody's sitting there, I'm gonna really show people I'm gonna fly. It doesn't happen like that, because at that point you don't even care about people in society, like in the sense of you're God. For God's sake, you're God. You're beyond the realm of words and language and all that. So these miracles start to happen because that's the will of the Tao. When Jesus walks on water, because the Tao decrees, the Tao finds it necessary that Jesus walk on water for whatever reason, because somebody's gonna see him do that and they're gonna act a certain way, or they're gonna get a revelation out of the experience and move closer to the source. So you never really know. But that's how it sort of happens at that level. It's, you're beyond ego and beyond desire at that point. And so you become a pure conduit to the Tao, to the universe, which another name for the Tao is purity. Also purity. Light equals beauty, equals love, equals consciousness, equals God, equals purity, equals awareness, all the same trip. So you could look at God and say, well, God is void in pure awareness. You're right. And you could say God is light. That's true also, because remember, if you never opened your eyes ever in your life and there was never any light, you would not even know that you're like pure awareness, because your pure awareness is nothing to be aware of. Therefore, you become the light, because the light is necessary for for who you are as a being. As the pure awareness, it's a necessary contrast. Thus comes creation. Thus was the necessity of creation for consciousness to be aware of itself. Thus was the necessity for let there be light, and there was light. So yeah, those are some thoughts. This video is completely unplanned in the sense that I didn't even have any of these revelations and thoughts in the meditation. I turned on the camera and they're coming. I had actually different downloads in the meditation. This was not one of them. But that tends to happen when you meditate and you slow down your breathing, is you start to just become a conduit. So I don't even know. I just turned on the camera and this started happening. So I don't know. Maybe the moral of the story is do your breath work. Start to slow down your breathing with your eyes closed and with your eyes open as well. And I'll make more videos in that regard. I'm, deeply immersed in the world of breath work because it's the most important thing in life. And that's what breatharianism is all about. It's called breatharian for a reason. Because actually, if you slow down your breathing and it just becomes your natural state, you don't need food, barely need any water. If you take it to the next level, you don't need water no more. And you just become totally self-sustained because you become pure consciousness, which is just, that's infinite energy. And so you have everything. You don't need anything, so then everything else, this game of I'm separate and I need, that's an illusion. That's the game consciousness is playing. Hide and seek, ladies and gentlemen. Hide and seek. I want to thank all the Patreons, all the lovely, wonderful Patreons for supporting this channel. And we've got a few more. Okay, the family is growing and I am very excited. And I look forward for the day when I am doing this full time. And if you would like to pledge your support, help that become a reality, you could just pledge with $2 a month and forget about it. It ain't gonna harm you, okay? It ain't gonna harm you. $2 a month, and help me live my dream of doing this full time one day. So thank you to everybody who's pledged their support, who is pledging their support right now, who will pledge their support in the future. And until next time, may the force be with you.